What's good, Wizards fans? The Washington Wizards lose to the Denver Nuggets 118 to 104. Now they have lost 4 games in a row. But some of the young guys did look good tonight. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
So thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Where you're free and available wherever you get podcasts. It's your host, Ed Oliver and Brandon Scott. Talking about the Wizards once again, coming off a back-to-back. The Wizards have now lost 4 straight. They're now 32-41, 4-11 since the All-Star break. And they have lost 9 of their last 12 games, and they are 3.5 games behind the 10th spot. So the play-in game looks further. The play-in tournament is looking further and further away. Kyle Kuzma with a bad ankle sprain, and also now Bradley Beal was out tonight with knee soreness. Are the Wizards doing a soft tank? We'll talk about that later. But we're going to talk about the young guys first. What were your thoughts on Deni Avdija's performance? 16 points, Jordan Goodwin with 12, and Johnny Davis with 7. What were your thoughts on the young guys tonight in the loss to the Nuggets?
One word, man, intriguing. I'm going to say that, intriguing. It all started with Johnny Davis doing that up and under, man. I was like, okay, all right, now we're cooking a little bit. I like what I saw, man. I'll tell you what, we got a big laugh last night, man, but we must have lit some kind of fire underneath Deni, man, because he played well tonight, man. I mean, 7 for 9 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, 16 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, I guess the only negative would be 4 turnovers, but I mean, outside of that, he played well. He responded. He responded. With Bill and Kuz both being out of the lineup, he responded. Hat goes off to Porzingis. I'm gonna say this, man. This is what my thought process was during the game. I'm a big fan of KP, man. And if I have to make a choice who stays, who goes, I don't mind seeing KP stay here long term if he's going to be healthy. And this is because he, without him, this game wasn't close in the first half. He kept us in the first quarter in this game. He was making good shots. So I mean, really shout out to KP tonight. Gafford, a little underwhelming. Kispert DeMonte struggled, but I mean, looking at the young guys, Goodwin, 12 points. He showed out tonight. He did well off the bench. And then Johnny Davis, 7 points. It wasn't really efficient, 3 for 9, 0 for 3 from 3-point. But, overall, man, I'm very intrigued by this young cast. I like what I see from them. I saw energy. Really, they were the only energy outside of KP. These young guys brought the energy. And this is what you want to see, because I believe with these next 9 games, we need to go ahead and see what these young guys can do. I'm gonna bring another name up real quick. Quentin Jackson. I think he needs to be brought up. I think he needs playing time. None ain't playing. You got Johnny up there. I like to see what Quentin can do with the Wizards. But I'm intrigued, man. Definitely give these young guys some minutes. But man, this loss, man, it's the same issues. Perimeter defense. They lit us up. I mean, Michael Porter Jr., man, look, people forget that he was a top prospect at one point. I mean, it was just injuries for him early on coming out of Missouri, but Michael Porter Jr. can shoot the rock. I mean, and he showed it tonight. I mean, he shot well. I mean, Jokic did his thing. I felt like Deni did well against Aaron Gordon, but it's just, we can't defend. And we stayed with him in the first half, but another issue from the season, the lack of adjustments in the second half. They ran in the third quarter and they took the game. I feel like if we made the proper adjustments, maybe we could have rolled with them in the second half, because it really was a tale of 2 different halves. The first half was, we rolled with them. I feel like defense went all the way there because for some reason we're very slow on rotating defensive assignments. And for some reason, every team in the league, once they pass the ball around, there's always an open shooter. So they got to get on that, man. But yeah, getting back to the young guys, man, very intrigued. I like what I saw. It's an L, but I see progress with this young group. So,
yeah, Deni showed some flashes tonight. 16 points, had a really nice in and out, and dunked against Aaron Gordon. Had a really nice turnaround jumper at the end of the shot clock. Had a nice layup on a fast break as well. 7 for 9 from the field. I thought he finished well tonight. 14 points in the first half, but only 2 points in the second half. So that's the only down part about it. You just have to continue to do that throughout the whole game. It looks like the Nuggets made adjustments on him, and they guarded him differently. But I was impressed. Eight rebounds, 6 assists. So it's all an all around game. 1 for 2 from the 3-point line. He took advantage of Kuz not being there, Brad being out. He has to start and he had to step up 32 minutes tonight. Porzingis had 25 points in 22 minutes. Did get into a little bit of foul trouble. He had 3 fouls in the first half. Gaff had 6 points and 5 fouls. I like what I saw from Johnny Davis. Played with some confidence. The up and under layup was a really nice layup. That was a beautiful layup. Showed off some of the athleticism that he has there. And Jordan Goodwin played with a lot of aggression there tonight too with 12 points. But yeah, I mean, they're just the Nuggets. Simply put, the Nuggets are the better team. The Wizards did stick with them in the first half. I want to say they were winning at the half or it was tied at the half. But as you look at the third quarter, the Nuggets had 39 points in the third quarter. The Wizards had 16. So it looks like Michael Malone made adjustments against his young protege, his former assistant coach in Wes Unseld Jr. And once again, we just didn't know our personnel. I mean, Michael Porter Jr., like you said, he's been a great shooter since high school, coming out out of Missouri, played a couple games, but had a back injury. But yeah, everybody knows he can shoot. And, when these guys get hot, man, we just don't see a lot of adjustments from the Wizards. No face guarding, no denying guys the ball. Anthony Simons hit 8 threes against us. A couple nights ago, Keegan Murray hits 5 threes. Terrence Davis hits 5 threes. There's always one guy on the other team that hits at least 4 or 5 threes or 6 threes against the Wizards, and Michael Porter Jr. Gary Harris last night, 5 or 6 threes. So it's just every game somebody goes out there and hits at least 5 threes against the Wizards, and Michael Porter was that guy tonight. And Jokic is Jokic. I mean, 31 points, 12 boards, 7 assists. He took over 12 for 16. There were times where he barely got off the ground or didn't even jump, and he was getting offensive rebounds, just putting it back in. And he took Gaff to school a couple times, a couple up and unders, just bodying him, finishing strong around the basket. So I mean, we kind of knew how this game was going to go with Brad being out and Kuzma being out. Even if those guys were healthy, honestly, it was still going to be an uphill battle. But that third quarter was really the tail of the tape. And I thought Kendrick Nunn did hit it. He did hit a couple shots tonight, so he provided a little bit of a spark. But of course, that's just not enough.
Yeah, I mean. Again, we just don't get much from the bench. I feel like Goodwin really made up for that void with Bill being out, Kuz being out, because it looks like Kuz gonna be out for the rest of the year, man. Just from the body language, what's going on, because he's obviously is a significant injury, so I don't expect to see Kuz again. But yeah, these young guys stepped up. Kispert was a little underwhelming, but Deni came in and he responded, and that's all we asked for, man. His shot. When with him, it's just confidence. His biggest thing is confidence. When he's confident, man, he can play some ball. It's just like you said last episode, man. When he's down on himself, he really takes himself out the game. But when he's confident, man, he hit a couple of really nice 3-pointers tonight. And so this young group, I like it. And really, to me, it showed a lot. It showed more with Kuzma and Bill being out of the game, how close they played with Denver, because look, the ball movement was more fluid. I mean, if you look at the turnovers, well, I believe what we had was 7 turnovers. They had more turnovers we had tonight. So, I mean, the ball movement was more fluid. So, like I said, going forward, man, obviously, there's a lot that could happen between now and next season, especially going into the offseason. But there's a couple of things that really are intriguing to me outside of the young guys. KP really, he was like a silent leader, man. He doesn't need the ball a ton. He made his shots. He had his impact, and I'm a part of me is intrigued with the young cast surrounded with him, man. I'm not, I'm just saying, I'm really intrigued to see how he does with the young cast going forward. But I'm intrigued, man. The young group really came through. Now the next step for these young guys, man, is consistency. Step your game up a little bit, be more consistent. Especially Johnny Davis. Start, let 10 points be around your average and go from there. I just want consistency out of this group. But no, for right now, I'm really intrigued going forward with the squad, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Johnny, he struggled from the third tonight. Didn't knock down any threes. I want to say he shot 3. Just looking at the stats, he went 0 for 3 from the 3. Yeah, he went 0 for 3 from the 3. So he took good shots, wide open shots. Just got to knock him down. Same thing with Denny's got to knock him down as well. But we'll look at a couple more stats, and then we'll get to comments. But before we do get to that, today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Pro Basketball GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an NBA GM and managing your basketball franchise? Well, your dream can come true, and this game is definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the season, and lead your team to glory. You're responsible for hiring the right coaches and assistants, trading and training players, making draft picks, navigating your franchise through free agency and the draft, and all the ups and downs of a season. All this in a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Pro Basketball GM is completely free and playable offline. Play on the go as you want and when you want to. Locked On Wizards listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit probasketballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up or on the app stores. That's probasketballgm.com. Ultimate Basketball GM, start your dynasty today. All right, so let's look at a couple stats here, and then we'll probably wrap this recap up here. The Wizards, they shot 50% from the field, which is okay, but they shot 4 for 26 from the three-point line, 15% from the three, so they couldn't hit at home. The Nuggets shot 15 for 32, 46% from the three-point line. They shot 19 for 21 from the free throw line, 90%. So they basically had a 50-40-90 game. They out-rebounded us 41 to 38. They had 28 assists to our 20. They had 10 turnovers, so they had more turnovers than us. They had 48 points in the paint. We had 60, so we improved in that. Last game, we gave up 100 points in the paint when we played in Denver. Their largest lead was 23, and our largest lead was 6. So was there anything else from the game that stood out to you, or any numbers, any stats?
Outside of being historically bad shooting 3-pointers, man. I mean, you just couldn't hit the raw side of a barn tonight, man. I mean, just and they hit it all. But no, like you said, in short, man, Denver's just a better team. You know, it's just what it is right now. You know, Denver's the number 1 seed in the West for a reason. You know, they look good, man. And, you know, lately they took a couple, under the radar L's, man. But overall, they seem to be the favorite coming out of the West. So, no, man, I'm good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're 3 games behind the Bulls right now, just looking at the standings. And then also, if you're looking at lottery odds as well, the Wizards are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're the 7th worst team in the league, so they have the 7th best lottery odds. They're right behind the Portland Trailblazers. I think they might be able to catch up to the Blazers. The Wizards are 32-41. The Blazers are 31-40. So the Wizards can lose out. I think they can catch up to the Blazers and get better lottery odds. They can fool around and possibly get a top 5 pick. They seriously have to lose out. The Magic as well. They're right behind the Magic. The Magic are 30-43. So they can get the best they can really do is a top 5 pick. Is Charlotte's 23-50. The Spurs are 19-53. Houston's, of course, they're 18-54, and Detroit's 16-57. So they can mess around and get in that top 5 spot.
And I say, why not? I mean, sit Bill, sit Kuz, let's roll. I mean, because to me, I mean, I guess there's 2 sides of the coin for this franchise from a fan perspective, right? You got fans who want us to rebuild. I get it. I'm one of them. I get it. But then you have the team is trying to build this core of Bill, Kuzma, KP. So I guess what do we need? Point guard, right? So I think the easiest way to get a point guard, because obviously we're going to be number crunching because of the cap, would be the draft. So if I'm the Wizards, man, and I said it before, those 2 second rounders, man, I'm packaging them suckers, man. I'm trying to get another first rounder, man, easy, because this is a loaded draft, man, and this is a draft where you win either way. You know, whether you rebuild, you win because there's a lot of talent. You know, whether you're trying to retool and bring some guys in who can A, fit West's system, and B, not have to be guys who are dominant with the ball, because you're going to be playing with Bill, Kuz, and KP. But I think we win either way. This is a loaded draft, man. So, yeah, absolutely, man. So you got anything else you want to cover the game, man?
No, we can get some comments.
Got you. Before we roll, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The tournament is heating up, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and threes drained. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay, my go-to and my favorite. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked-on. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. So let's dig into some comments. And I see we're already starting in style. Let's see.
It's really fandom, man. He's been the talk of the town. I don't know. Some people said, he was trolling, that you were trolling last night with the comment about Deni. But I mean, what you said about Deni, I think it lit a fire under him. Maybe Deni listened to the show, or he might have listened to what Spencer Dinwiddie said about Deni in an interview. We'll probably talk about that tomorrow, possibly. But yeah, it's really fandom says Americans laughed at me when I said Deni was the best player on the team. He has potential to be a better Luka. And this game showed that no Brad or Kuzma or Rui in his way. So, yeah, thank goodness. Thank goodness Rui got traded. Thank you. Kuzma is not available to play. And thank goodness Brad's not available to play. So, finally, Denny's not held back. And he can finally play, and nobody's holding him back. So, no excuses. Deni went out there and had a heck of a game, and he showed that he can definitely be better than Luka Doncic for sure. I'm sold, Israeli fandom. I'm sold.
Yeah, man. I mean, you definitely lit a fire. That's for sure. I mean, I think the Deni definitely responded, man. But I tell you what, man, I definitely wish I had fans like you for me, man. Because I'm saying, better than Luka. I mean, look, I guess it was said that when Deni was matter of fact, that interview you saw today with Spencer Dinwiddie, that was a comment he made where he said that they said that he was supposed to be the next Luka, which was the comment that was made in the Spencer Dinwiddie interview, which I don't know how many people who saw that today, and I guess we'll talk about it in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he's got potential, man. He does. He has potential. But I think what people have to understand, man, is that Deni, he was that alpha dog. I think it was Maccabi Tel Aviv was the team he played for in Israel. He was that alpha dog, man. But the thing, and the good thing about the NBA, man, is that you do have a diverse league, man. You got guys from the Balkans, the Baltics, where we got, KPs from Latvia. You got guys from, all areas of Africa, Siakam, Embiid. So, I mean, I think that's one thing that I like about the league. But you got to understand, man, that the NBA is the top of the top, and you only got so many guys that are top dogs, man. And Luka, man, that's a tall measuring stick, man, because Luka's on a whole nother level, man. So I hope you're right. I hope you're right. So,
yeah, it's not fair to Deni to compare him to Luka. I think that's just too much, and that's what a lot of people did before the draft. We're just hoping that we get a productive player out of Deni, somebody that can come in and be consistent. I still don't know if he's going to get a second contract next year. It's really not. It's really up in the air. Personally, I don't think he will. I hope he proves me wrong, and I hope they can. I hope he plays, improves next year. He knows what he needs to work on. I think he sat down and did an interview with NBC Sports Washington talking about dribbling with his left hand and being better on the offensive side of the ball. But yeah, and what Spencer said about Deni being the next Luka, I guess that's what Tommy Shepard is saying to him. I guess that's what coaches have said. They said in the building. So it really shows what the front office thinks about Deni. When they drafted him, they probably really thought that he had the potential to be the next Luka Doncic. And he really there's a lot of improvement areas for him to be even near Luka Doncic, and there's a lot of good guys coming out to even be compared to Luka it's just a stretch. It really is, and it's not fair to him to be compared to Luka Doncic. It's just not fair to him. So I would never do that. But I just want to see Deni be productive and consistent. I want to see him do that. I think those are the building blocks that I want to see for him. But yeah, Israeli fandom, like I said, I really like your comments, and they definitely are intriguing for sure. So yeah, that's what I got to say about Deni. I like the way he played tonight, though. I want to see more.
Oh, absolutely. He had a really good night, man. So moving on. Tank for Scoop says, so ready for Monte to go. Man, Monte getting a lot tonight. Rough night for him. Can't defend or shoot. Has anyone noticed he has a really bad habit of picking up his dribble at half court? Why does he do that so often? Well, yeah, his defense is definitely a detriment. I'm gonna say that. He's kind of an undersized guard, and bigger guards, especially guards with length, he struggles against. But his shooting, man, I mean, his shooting is really, you know, he had a string where, you know, he struggled early on and then he got better and then he got into, you know, a little bit of a funk. But, you know, his shooting has been decent. But yeah, him not being consistent with his speed of how he runs the offense, yeah, can be frustrating. You know, I was hoping this year that Monte can kind of pick up the pace and we could be more of a running team in fast transition. And, you know, that hasn't really happened. So, you know, I definitely feel that part of it, man.
Yeah, it was a rough night for Monte, and I thought he would play a little bit better tonight, you know, with his former team. But he struggled, you know, 4 for 10 from the field. We had 10 points, and he had an air ball, missed a layup one time. So he did struggle tonight. So Monte, you know, he is what he is. He's a backup point guard, and he does pick up his dribble sometimes. He just can't get by guys. He just doesn't have that quick explosiveness as like a Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson is a guy who can get past guys off the dribble pretty easily, just because he's just super athletic. He's just a super athlete, and Monte Morris is not that. So he's a backup. That's what he is, and we've you know brought him into a starting role. You know, and he's had some good moments, and you know he's had some moments where he's just been solid, and that's what you're going to get from Monte Morris. So Denny's Kingdom says the Wizards are racist to Deni. That coach does not know how to utilize him on purpose. Deni should be this team's primary ball handler and scorer, but the coach only cares about Brad. He's in Deni's way. So that's the stuff right here where I just can't agree with it. I just can't do it because, you know, we can't keep saying that somebody's in Deni's way. The only person that is in Deni's way is Deni himself. He has to get out of his own head. He said himself he's going to stop complaining to refs. I'm excited to see that. I want to see him stop doing that. I want to see him stop getting down on himself as well. But yeah, to say that somebody's in his way, it's just I don't know. Like just like Tommy Shepard said, trading Rui to get Deni more playing time, and then Deni goes on a slump, you know, after the turbo run. So nobody's in his way. He's got to look himself in the mirror and get better. And I think he has the tools and the work ethic to improve as a player.
You know, I'll say this, man, and I get it. He has a very loyal following, and I think that's dope. But let me say this, you know, being his fans, you guys can actually put a lot of pressure on the guy, man. You know, let the guy be a kid. You know, he has enough pressure coming over, you know, because there's not very many ball players right now coming from Israel, man. So he's really kind of an ambassador, you know, coming over being that guy. And he's had all these, like you said, you know, being called the next Luka is enough pressure, man. You know, I think that just let the guy develop, let the guy play, you know, and this was, you know, go from there. So, you know, because like I said, he seems like a very humble young man, and he wants to improve, he wants to learn. It's just, you know, and very often not with these type of prospects, man, that have a big following. Us as fans can put more pressure on these guys than they need. You know, looking at, I mean, you know, so I mean, look at Johnny, man. You know, with his draft position, you know, we were ready to call him a bust, man. So, and I mean, look at the last game against the Magic, man. Look at Markelle Fultz, man. I could not have went through what that brother went through, man, with his shot being jacked up to people making fun of the dude, and for him to work his way back and play at the level he's playing, man, my hat goes off to him for that, man. So yeah, I was trying not to put too much pressure on these young guys, man, because they have enough pressure as it is, being 20 to 22 years old and a millionaire. So, you know, and just a public opinion of all their, you know, just that's all I'm going to say about that, man. You know, I guess I dig the compassion, you know, the passion. I get it, but we got to be a little realistic, and please, we got to slow down with the. There's no racism, man. Nobody's racist. It's just come on, man. Like it ain't none of that going on, man. So
Yeah.
let's not do that.
There's clearly no racism because we know Ted. He loves the international media and attention. That's a big reason. You know, they loved, you know, the whole Japan thing going there for Rui. There's Israeli night, and they've done many things in marketing for Deni Avdija as well. So I think the last thing that they are racist. They've done a lot of things to market Deni and to market to the national world media.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, especially when you look at Rui when his time here with the connection to Japan. So yeah, I don't think that's the case, man. So let's see. A lot of interesting comments tonight, y'all.
Yeah, there's one about Dinwiddie. Yeah, we'll probably talk about that tomorrow about Dinwiddie. I just want Dinwiddie to hold himself accountable, honestly. You know, because he never talks about how he played badly, how he threw up grenade shots, and you know he was, you know, not playing well. He couldn't move. He was a turnstile. He was a clone on defense. And he couldn't go by. He couldn't go by guys, just like Monte Morris. He couldn't get past anybody. He was picking up his dribble at half court as well. The knee didn't look right for one, but at the same time, Dinwiddie didn't play well either. So he can point fingers and talk about other people and stuff like that. And some of the stuff he did say was true, but he didn't play well either. He really didn't.
Yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie needed to slow his roll, man. Like, I mean, come on now. You were that guy that was famous for saying, "I got my bag. Now it's time for you to get yours." Come on, man. Like,
Right.
you can't. Just stop. Your time here is over. Just move on, do your thing. So,
yeah, and it kind of was a shot at Deni a little bit, saying that Deni was supposed to be the next Luka. So that kind of was an unnecessary, stray shot in my opinion.
yeah, and I got that drift too, man. It's just like, come on, man, you gotta let it go. I mean, because a lot of his comments this are kind of confusing. Like, he's trying to say he didn't know what he was getting himself into, but look, man, why would you sign a contract if you have no idea what you're getting yourself into? Like, you signed that contract. You got your bag. You signed that contract, and then for you to say, "Well, I didn't know what they're doing. They're confused." You should have known from the get-go they were confused. I mean, I'm a fan, and I know they're confused. So I know you knew they were confused. So, yeah, I don't buy that, man.
Yeah, they don't know what they were doing, and there was a lot of guys on the team. Montrezl Harrell, he had the MVP start. He thought he was the guy, and then KCP's got to get his touches. Brad's got to get his touches, of course. And Dinwiddie was supposed to be the guy as well. Kuzma. So it was a lot of guys, a lot of Eagles in the locker room just went crazy. Fights, Bertans, and Dinwiddie and Deni. And it was just chaos. And then, Wes is just, he's a first-year head coach, and he just doesn't have the authority to command a locker room at that time. Kind of, he's still working on that now, honestly. So, but OBJ, the Don. You got to go to his Twitter. He put up a picture of us from last night with a comment from Israeli Kingdom. What he said about Deni. He said Tommy was on something if he believed Deni was the next Luka. So yeah, I mean, and that's what stood out to me from Dinwiddie's comments is that the front office must have really believed, and they might have said that. Somebody must have said that to him, honestly, for Dinwiddie to come out and say that.
Well, I mean, it tells you what is pretty obvious to most of us, man, outside of the real loyal win now fan club, man, which is they have no direction. Like, they have no direction. They're trying to piece together a bunch of pieces from miscellaneous sources and try to win it. And it's just, that's the frustrating part, man. I really felt like when they made the choice to stick with Bill as that guy, as the new face of the franchise, they should have rebuilt right then on the spot, but they didn't. And they tried to piece together a team where it's just, so yeah, I don't know what their vision is. So
right. Somebody else said a great loss. Michael Wilder said great loss tonight. For the soft tank. I think they're finally waving the white flag right now. And with Brad being out with knee soreness. When I saw he was questionable earlier today, I was like, yeah, they're waving the white flag for sure. And then Kuzma, like you said earlier, I don't think he's gonna play another game this year. If they're really in a playoff push, I really feel like Brad would have played, especially with the way he played last night. Just being competitive. You have such a really underwhelming game like that. I feel like you would want to bounce back from losing to the Magic and only putting up 16 points and fouling out.
Yeah, I mean, you notice that Brad has a lot of these little rest games where it's just knee pain. So I don't know. They might sit him down too. I mean, at this point, why not? It's 9 games left. We're clearly not. We could try to fight in for the play-in. I don't see the point. I think we should really see what these young guys can do, especially, look at a comment from Matt. I'm interested in Quentin, Huff, and Goodwin. If we rebuild, I don't think we are completely done for. No, I think we do have a foundation. We do have a foundation, but, I think that there's going to be a lot of hard decisions this offseason, man. I think this franchise, for the first time in 3 to 4 years, are going to be forced to look into the mirror and really look at what is the vision? What are we trying to do here? So,
right. Yeah, I'm ready to see the young guys too. But we'll wrap it up. We're most likely going to be on here tomorrow, so we're going to have a nice episode for you guys tomorrow. I just want to thank you guys for listening and making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Now, make sure you guys check out the Game to Game podcast. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you guys for listening. Brandon, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, sir. Real quick, we are very close to 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, so definitely like, subscribe, comment below, and hit that notification button because we putting out dope videos all the time. And definitely check out me and my dude, the real Ed Oliver, on Twitter and Instagram. We always chopping it up on game days and off days, especially in the off season. We're gonna be talking about the draft and free agency a lot, so definitely check it out. So, man, I'm good. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a blessed night.
Yes, sir. Hell to the Wizards. Peace.